We out here, baby. All
Yo, yo,
right,
yo. Oh my
let's
gosh.
refresh these pages.
I thought I updated my name, but did not save.
I was gonna suggest you do working hard, and then
I
I
was
do
going to say
hardly.
working harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, banger. We live? We live? Yeah, we live. We got to change the default thumbnail for the co-working streams.
To not this one?
I don't know. I feel like
The
a
upside is that if it doesn't have a thumbnail, then when I post the link on Warpcast, it will show a live frame.
yeah, just on YouTube it has a default thumbnail, and I think it's like using that.
Yeah, it will update itself though.
Mm.
Well, once we're done, then it will choose a different one and not the banner or whatever it chooses.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How's your day going?
Well, it just started.
Hell yeah.
Good, good. I woke up a little bit too late, but you know, I needed to sleep. And since
Yeah.
I'm working on a framework for sleep and meditation, I was like, I'm gonna get enough sleep to
Yeah.
demonstrate its importance.
Congrats on
I'm like Brian
publishing that.
Johnson, except I wake up later.
Wait, what do you mean?
Because he goes to bed like super early.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't really follow people that look like demons.
Oh, okay. Hey,
So I
Michelle.
don't know. I don't like. I know his like general shtick, but like
Hmm.
I just get bad vibes, so I haven't really like followed.
Oh, okay. Different vibes for everyone. But
Yep.
yes, that's also why I message opposite of Brian Johnson. To be like, it's like, you know, like whatever you feel, this is the opposite. Okay, how long do these last again? We're gonna
As
run it
long as we
for
want.
how long are you gonna stay? I have a meeting at 11 a.m. my time.
So that's 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That
Which
works
is
for
our
me.
usual time.
Yeah. Let's just
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, so yeah, I think we usually run 3 extended Pomodoros. So
Yeah.
normal Pomodoros are 25 minutes. We usually try to run it for 15 minutes because of the ramp up time that is needed by both parties.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you working
Uh,
on today?
well, I need to finish up all the post show stuff from the last episode, and then if I have enough time, start clipping for the one we just did.
Nice.
Or do one of the older episodes too, the edited ones.
I think probably the recent makes sense because like I'm
Mhm.
gonna I don't know, maybe this is just wishful thinking in
Mhm.
in the vein of what we were talking about before, but like I have a big master plan to go back and like find good moments to intentionally like clip out of all this stuff that I'm saving. Obviously, I'm not going to go back that far because our video
Oh,
quality has
okay.
gotten a
Okay,
lot better.
then I'll just do the latest live stream. And we will play music.
Heck yeah.
What did we end up choosing last time again?
Well, I mean, you picked some. I mean, I wasn't here. I think for
Oh,
the
you were
last.
here. Right, and then I almost got in trouble for our channel. I was so mad.
Yeah, gotta find some copyright free playlists.
Oh, I think I have it prepped this time. White Bat Audio. That's what One Frog 9 recommended me to use.
Nice.
We can do some chill synth wave or vapor wave.
I'm a big vaporwave stan.
Oh, okay, cool. It comes with a old man meditating in the picture. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna work through. I think I'm gonna work through a bunch. Like I got final paperwork for shutting down Seymour, and I really want to finish that today. So I think I'm gonna work on that. Oh, that's like a Master Roshi AI picture. That's funny.
Yeah, that's what I was. I can't remember his name. Okay, and then I need to announce the stream to places. That's my
Sure.
first task usually.
True.
Okay.
All right, let's get it rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Also, there's like 7 people joining us. It's interesting. I feel like on Thursday we actually get a lot more people than Tuesday.
You know, it is what it
You
is.
want more in the mood.
Michelle, excited to see the content. That'll good continuation of
Yeah,
what you've been roll the snowball you've been rolling.
me too.
All right, I'm gonna be locking in. See you in a little bit.
Is the music a good volume for everybody?
Good for me.
Hello, hello. GM Mad Mac.
Yo, yo.
And Elvis, I found you. You're the eggified red background PFP.
Eggs.
Eggs. I found out that the egg cooker is not the same as Eggman on Farcaster.
Wait, what?
You know, there's a way you can like turn your PFP into an egg. That's by Egg Cooker, but not by
Okay.
Eggman, who came up with the waifus for everybody.
Oh, I mean, okay. I'm not caught up on the egg meta.
Yeah. And Steve, where did you come from? Let us know. We will lollygag for a few minutes.
How was your session?
It was good. I want to tell you I wasn't clipping because like you, I can't actually clip while
Oh yeah,
live.
well,
I have to do
because the
everything
internet
around the clip.
screws up. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I did post our min from last time. Told more people about the stream.
Okay. I'm doing accounting.
Is that why you look so serious? Everyone was like, "Wow, you look so concentrated."
I just look like that when I'm not being a little jokester.
Oh,
I have like resting, I'm like this is just my face. You know what I mean?
the man version of RBF.
I don't know. Like, I mean, but like you got to realize most of the time when you're like a military officer, you're just kind of like standing there. And so you got to
Oh,
have like a resting serious face or else like you just look uncredible.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh,
yeah.
Steve is SDB Steve. I didn't realize. My spamming of the Vibes Discord worked.
Let's go. Let's go, Michelle.
Yeah. That's cool that you have a tough resting face.
I mean, this sure is something.
So, I wanted to ask you about the ticket to Builder's Day, whether you want it or not, because I need to bug Emma about it if you want it. Or are you kind of like, eh?
I mean, like, what is it, Wednesday?
Thursday.
I don't know.
Okay. I can hang on to it. I feel like I'm gonna be like the only non-builder there or like non-coder there. You
Okay.
know, which is fine. Every hackathon team also needs a shill.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I have no hard plans for FarCon, and originally when I like didn't get the ticket for whatever reason, because I thought I was supposed to, I was just like, oh, I guess like this is like the serendipity of the universe saying don't go.
Don't go. Yeah.
And so, but now is this the serendipity of the universe saying go?
I
don't
feel
know.
like it's more applicable for you because you and it's Frank is not coming, right? But
No.
okay, well, at least for One Up Labs, it seems way more relevant if you want to hack something and show somebody something.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I'm kind of tired, so I
Okay.
am not gonna like run through a hackathon kind of energy.
Okay, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up,
I just wanted
Axsic?
to not have to bug Emma if I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Steve, are you going to the hackathon Builders Day thing since you're here? GM Axsec. I hope I'm saying your name right. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so for the next session, are you gonna continue to work on your accounting then?
Yeah.
Is that like a giant spreadsheet? How does that work?
Yeah, I got a big old Google sheet because in order to shut the entity down, I got to do the 2025 taxes, and so I just got to get all of the taxes and stuff squared away.
Too bad you can't use that Pokemon tax app.
What was that? Your sound's cut in and out.
Oh, I said it's too bad you can't use the Pokemon tax filing.
Oh.
What I found.
I that stuff's always interesting to
Pointless, to be
me.
honest. Like, cause it's like almost like, it's the standard questions that TurboTax or whatever would ask you, except you're not even certain if it's complete because they try to make it so fun. But I think if you are a kid, you know what I mean, and you need to learn how to file taxes for the first time, this is so great, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. The yeah, the I wrote something maybe a couple years ago that like everything eventually is going to be like a
Mhm.
game like that.
Mhm.
And cuz I was I was like thinking about Amazon warehouses, and they give them like AR goggles to like make freaking Subway surfers out of packing boxes, or at least they did for a period of time.
Oh,
And like, in a way it's dystopian,
yes.
but in another way it's like if you're packing the boxes anyway, why not make it fun? And so
Yeah. It's on that razor's edge.
yeah, and so like Pokemon tax form, if it feels like good, I'm glad it's there, but also I just kind of wish the government compiled my taxes like civilized countries do.
Yes. I know. I know. Ugh. Okay, so
I'm also I am grumpier or more serious when I do like serious work. So like these opinions are colored by the fact that I'm doing accounting right now.
well, that's human. That makes sense. Man, so many of our friends are bailing FarCon altogether, actually.
What's the reason?
You know the reasons. I will not say on stream.
Why not? I'm not afraid of backlash. I want to speak truth to whatever.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm glad I said the name right. Um, I think it's well, okay, how about this? Contrasting to the one you organized in Boston,
Yeah.
um, it is much less grassroots. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. I mean, like that it's just a different thing now, you know what I mean? Which is fine. Like stuff grows and changes and all that.
Mhm.
So I think people should spend time in places that they want to spend time in, you know?
Okay. Alrighty. What do you think of the music? I thought it was a little intense, but did you like it? I'll continue the soundtrack if you were okay with it.
Are you asking me or the
Yeah, I'm
people?
asking you, not sorry, chat stuck with whatever we choose.
Oh, I mean, Kristen, I listen to like aggressive electro. So like this is like, baby hard for me. So
Oh,
I'm
it is
good.
Baby Heart? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, this is very hard and intense for me.
Oh yeah, no, I'm like I listen to like the Doom soundtrack,
Okay. Mm.
I could go much harder than this. So whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. Well, all right. And then my mood report is much improved since the start of the hour, just from hanging out with everybody.
Okay. Good. Mine has been degraded by accounting because I hate it.
I'm sorry. I will try to inflate it a little bit.
No, it's fine. It's not your responsibility.
It is my responsibility. Okay. Um, I need to remember to start the timer this time.
Yo, honk. Honks in the chat.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I don't know whether he means that I need to be quiet, but he seems really busy. I guess I'll just yap while he's.
I'm back.
Oh.
Sorry. Was finishing a thought.
Very nice. Do I get to see the thought, or is that a private thought?
So I finished up the accounting and I sent all the appropriate emails that I needed to send.
Oh, yay!
Yeah,
So
so
productive.
now thank you. So now I am so like we talked about this before, but I write on paper and then I transfer it to digital because I like it. I now have a file folder of everything that I've transferred, so I have like a system now. And so I'm adding more poems to my sneaky website or my sneaky poem website. While also, did I tell you about the postcards I'm trying to make?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
so I'm
that you were trying to make postcards, but that was the end of it.
oh yeah. So I found a postcard API provider,
Ooh.
but it's mostly for like business spam mail, but it seems to be like high quality spam. They sent me a sample packet when I signed up. And so like the spam is low quality, but the letters are high quality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
And so what I'm gonna try to use it for is I'm sending
Mhm.
myself some samples of printing the poems in kind of like a like because you can generate pictures of words,
Mhm.
and so I think I might try to let people send postcards of my poems by using this API. And so, but their website's kind of janky. But they have this whole infra of automatically printing postcards via API. And so I'm actually emailing them to fix some bugs. But anyway, I'll drop. Did we ever figure out if we can drop links in our chat?
Uh, I think you can. You just can't click on them, so which maybe defeats the purpose.
Oh. Well, this is one of the little ones that I so usually when I transfer, I do light editing to like make it sound better or look better. And this one was just a little one that like just reading it makes me happy. So maybe it'll make other people. It's a fucking robot again. The I'll
I
drop
think
it in.
well, I think others can see the little robot face maybe. Or actually, yeah, chat. Let us know. Do you in http dot slash does it turn into a little sad robot face for you?
I dropped it in the show your work channel too. I got to get image previews for this site up, but that one's like a little fun little
Okay.
phrase.
Very nice. I'll have to open that in a bit because my computer is not happy with me opening anything else right now.
That's
Oops.
funny. Here,
Ah.
I'll send it. I'll send you just a little screenshot in Telegram.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. That will help a lot. I just can't click any more things. Cameron, I need a new computer with the OK Banger budget.
I mean, how much have we made from those mints over on Pods?
Well, it's very sad right now due to ETH crashing.
Oh, right. Yeah, we
It
should
was
have
really
transferred all
good
that.
at one point.
Yeah, we should have transferred that to USDC, but we'll sit on it.
Well, someone told me that ETH is a unit of compute.
I mean, it should be, but we don't exist in a rational industry.
I know. Okay, I'm like Vitalik. If you're watching this, please work harder in solving this problem. Thank you.
Yeah, what would you get?
Uh, ooh. Well, Isis is saying a M4 from Costco. Yeah, I prefer the MacBook Air too. Like now that I'm using MacBook Air, I don't think I can go back to a big MacBook. But I don't know. Would the new souped up, maxed out MacBook be good?
I don't know. I don't have
Oh, right,
Macs.
right. I'm talking to a PC guy here.
Yeah,
I'm outing Cameron as a PC guy.
there's no outing. I'm not ashamed of it.
I feel like I would switch back to a PC, but to be quite frank, I don't think I have the neuroplasticity anymore to like deal with the new UI.
I mean, that's fair. I
Mm,
mean, I do think you do have the neuroplasticity, but I do understand that it would be annoying.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I figured it's gonna be lots of PC stands in the chat. Hey, Crypt Sorrow. Yeah, and then all our gaming problems. So yeah, actually, Cameron and I were trying to figure out could we game together, and it sadly died. Well, but besides my impatience, the trying to find a game that works on the Mac and a PC was, and that isn't lame, was really really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
So, all right, all right, all right. So that's great that you ate your frog today.
Well, I mean, got plenty more frogs to eat. I'm just having
Oh,
fun.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, what other frogs do you have to eat? I love besides paperwork, everything else is only enjoyment from now on. That's why
No,
I genuinely think that, by the way.
I gotta get so I got a big old box of actually might be I'm just making a mess. So I got a big old box of stuff. This is
Oh.
my frog box.
Is that all your poetry you're trying to scan?
It's like partially poetry, part like thank you. Like it's just a bunch of shit that I don't want to do. You know what I mean? It's like opening letters and paying bills and all that kind of
Oh.
stuff.
Well, I also have the same pile. My solution is I bought a shredder.
Nice.
And then I was thinking that it's fun to shred stuff. So the more I go through, the more I get to stick stuff into the shredder.
That is sound. That logic is sound.
But yes, that's on my procrastinating list since it's not one of the 5 to dos. Ooh, I get to see a poem. Ah, I love it. I
Just
want
little.
this on a fridge magnet. You know how because you sent it to me a telegram as a square, it's a freaking perfect fridge magnet or coaster.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Let me just make a note of that.
I
Cause
would
like,
buy your poetry merch.
yeah, fridge magnet production. Cause like, I don't know. I just need one that's like good quality. Cause like, you either like poems or you don't, right? And so like
Yeah.
there's not any more work that needs to get done for that. It's just you either like it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. So fridge magnet is a good idea. So thank you for saying that. And I think I could probably make them pretty cheap.
Yeah, and you can probably even print them by Farcon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely not by Farcon.
Oh,
And I already have the little
you have the little keychain things.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't want to confuse it.
that's true. Um, I would like one, please. Please say one for me.
Well, okay, so we realized unfortunately we had to friggin' spend $100 to overnight it cuz Frank has the 3D printer up in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been running the samples through his stuff, and initially we were going to be like, oh, Farcon's just for pre-orders, and then we
Yeah.
realized that we had built something like good enough that it was worth attempting to actually sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're only going to have like 5 of each.
Oh,
And
do you,
so, but
do you know
well,
about Craft Cloud?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's like a Uber for 3D printing. So they have a whole bunch of vendors. I know it's you don't get the quality control the level you want, but they do have like shippers near you who can do it.
The nuance is like we also have some like for the keychains, the other bits, there's like assembly required.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so like, but anyway, long story short, I'm gonna have a handful. Some people are gonna be able to buy some, but everybody else can pre-order. So if you like
Okay.
Farcaster stuff, come find me at FarCon and you'll be able to purchase.
Okay. And I'm joking about, like I'll pre-order. I would rather someone get it there when they see you. I can wait.
I'll see. I can maybe give you one of the.
It gave me one of the fucked up ones.
Well, yeah. Because I think we put a bunch in the box, and so like some are gonna be like not sellable, but like historical merch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, Pokemon card that's misprinted.
Yeah. And so yeah, misprint.
Oh, speaking of which, we're gonna have stickers for OK Banger as well.
Oh yeah,
So if you
totally
are
forgot about
attending
that.
FarCon, we will give you a sticker. Are you okay if I announce it in the feed as well?
Yeah.
Just a photo of it? Like, do you
No,
want
no,
me to
no.
be all mysterious and shit?
Well, we said if you are subscribed to our channel and you can show us on your phone, you get a sticker.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to drop that in the, or do you want me to show the sticker or don't show the sticker? And you know what I mean?
I think you show the sticker.
Okay.
Because like we're not just posting it once. We're gonna need to post it like
5
every
million
day.
times. I
Yeah.
know. Okay.
All right.
All right. See you around, Steve. Thanks for
Bye,
hanging
Steve.
out.
We got one more sprint before your meeting, right?
Yes, which I will
Okay.
start now.
And we'll do maybe like an abridged one, so you got time to.
Yeah. I'm running one that's for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Perfect.
I wish it's easier for me to switch out the time.
Well, I appreciate you figuring that out. Oof. Ouch.
Okay. I'll actually do just like 35. All right.
Stand up.
As Issa says, we need to do our stretching.
Do your flossing.
Oh, that is so millennial. Stop, whatever you do.
I'm embracing my cringe this year, Kristen. There's
Oh,
there's
you
nothing you can
are.
do about
Oh, okay. Then can you like atone for all the times you said I was cringe? Thank you.
it. Well, I mean, I still meant that. It's just something for you to embrace.
Oh, I see a Dunkin' Donut.
Oh yeah, this was the reason why I was almost late.
I knew it. It's okay. My reason's even worse. Exactly. That is exactly the mood. Oh, I forgot to start the music. All right. I'm gonna continue my task
Okay.
of applying to this event that's happening on Monday.
Oh, hey, my mic's not muted. Kristen, while I've already distracted you, have you seen the movie Brazil?
I have not, but I kept hearing it referenced when I was in a class on intellectual property.
So it is like a crazy 80s sci-fi movie,
Mm-hmm.
and JP Fernetto just referenced it in reply to one of my casts today. And I saw it one time. I think I was like hammered when I first saw it, and I thought I was just like, dude, I must not be remembering this movie correctly. But then I rewatched it sober, and I was like, oh no, I did. It's actually just insane.
Oh,
So I
you,
I
you
recommend
can,
watching it. It's insane.
yeah, you can drop it in as a esoteric recommendation.
Yeah. Oh, I'll drop it in the esoteric. In the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, go jump in the Discord.
This peanut butter scraping is very relatable. Alrighty.
Oi.
How was it?
Good. I'm trying to context shift between poems and like essay stuff, so like it's a different brain to transcribe one versus the other.
Oh, you're making your way through the box.
Yeah, I'm making my way through a binder first and then through the box. Like, but the box is so big, I gotta like allocate like an hour, like 2 hours to it, and then I get like a
Mm-hmm.
chunk done, and then I gotta do 2 hours another time.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
You don't want to do any OCR and scanning to make it easier.
No, because it's like a forced reflection or like an essay.
Okay, we're redrafting with it. That's fine.
Yeah, it's like because I don't want to just be collecting words. I want to be making things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're replicating what old-timey people did when they
Yes.
type stuff up and transfer it and all that.
Yes. All right.
Cool.
Thanks everybody for hanging out.
Yeah, thank you so much. I did get a monkey off my back in the next past half hour.
Good. Good.
I'm close to having 1 slot in my 5 slots back.
Nice. Well,
Alrighty.
have
Take
a good
care,
meeting.
everyone.
Thanks everybody for hanging out. Bye, y'all.